So far, what in last 10 months, I also referred quite a few of my friends to Google, and there's a trend I'm seeing. Um, how a person writes their resume matters. So you can
Mm,
just list job descriptions in bullet points. That really doesn't tell you exactly what this person is doing. Like I can write as a project manager, I, defined budget, planned A to B,
mm,
and finished a project with this many millions of dollars, and blah blah blah. But it doesn't really convey what my skills are. It
mhm,
could be that I'm just sitting there and everybody else doing everything. Um, doesn't tell the story whether I was a good project manager or not.
mhm,
What I have seen my friends being successful in getting the first interview call is when they're in their resume, they tell the story. Instead of listing the job description, they say, I use this particular skill that I have to make this, which create this other impact, and this is how I measured success. 3, 4 line, very condensed, and those people are getting interview calls. And then a very experienced person with lots of job description bullet points, they are not getting an interview call. So that's my 10 months observation so far.
Can you give me an example of what that would look like? So, like a specific project, or a campaign or something like just like it
Yeah,
isn't it's something general. Like what does that look like?
I can tell you from one of my resume. So I have on my latest Ericsson experience, I wrote it in such a way that so I managed the program for 5G launch, 5G radio, and few other products there. But then I used the technical program management skills to negotiate headcount of 200 engineers and managed a budget of 250 million over 2 years and completed the program within 2 months of promised deadline, and which generated this much revenue after a year. So that was my resume. But I have seen other people writing this resume through a project manager, Ericsson, from this date to that date, managed projects, um, managed budget, planned project from start to completion. Doesn't really say specific details of what they did. It's more like job description of a project manager. And I felt like those people did not get, at least the people that I referred to, they did not get the call.
Yeah, so it's really you have to have a coherent story. Like, what did you actually do? What was the impact? And that's not just something you're talking about in the interview. It's what you're putting in your resume so people can understand it. You're not just listing out stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
And one of my interviewer actually told me that looking at my resume, they're able to ask me questions because it tells a story, 2, 3 lines, but tells a
Mm,
story. So Pavel did that. So Pavel, tell me about that. But many of the resumes they see, they're like job descriptions. So they are not able to extract a question right of resume. So
mm,
what happens in this case? They have to they have to come up with a question which may not be relevant to your resume or your
mm,
experience, and then it is more difficult to answer it coherently. But
mm.
in my case, since they are asking me questions directly from my resume, and from one of the experience they spotted in that doc, it's just also easy for me to answer, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's super helpful. I think oftentimes what I've heard is like just the keywords matter, which is true.